Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Career Bootcamp Session 8, Power Panel Reflecting and Forward Thinking. This is an English-only session, so if you'd like the presentation in French, please go back to the lobby and select that link. I'd like to start by acknowledging the land that I live on, which is in Whitehorse, Yukon. It's the traditional territory of the Kwanlin Dun First Nation and the T'an Council, who have lived on this land since time immemorial. Career Boot Camp is the largest conference in the government of Canada, and the goal here is just to give you some resources that can help you grow in your career. And we know that it's a difficult time in the federal public service for career advancement and some of the searches. So take from this what you can. This is really going to be transferable to any career that you choose in the federal public service or not. And a lot of these networks that you are developing here are really going to serve you well in the future. If you have any questions, please use the Q&A button and don't forget to upvote all of the questions that you would like us to ask. This session is also being recorded and it'll be available on our YouTube channel. And this year it is also going to be a podcast available on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And the PowerPoint will also be available with other resources that are being shared in the chat right now on the wiki page under resources. So introductions. My name is Callie Battersby. I work for Crown Indigenous Relations as a program officer currently. I started my job as an administrative assistant 8 years ago. And one of my biggest passions is learning from the Indigenous people that I get to work with on a daily basis. And that has really served me well in relationship building. Today, we're going to learn how to leverage resources from the Career Bootcamp series and plan your learning in 2025, gain some insights from our really inspiring panelists, and maximizing your development opportunities. So we're going to get started with a couple of non-mandatory polling questions that you'll see in the Q&A thing. How many sessions did you attend over the last couple of weeks? You'll see the selections are 1 to 3, 4 to 7, all of them, or this is your first session. And then how did you attend Career Bootcamp? Virtually, you watched the recordings on YouTube, you listened to the podcast, or you watched from the viewing center. So now that those are there, we have quite a few people 38% who went to 4 to 7 of the previous sessions. That's awesome. And 98% of people attended virtually. So goes to show that you guys like to show up and see me talk on the computer for a little bit, maybe. So we're going to introduce our esteemed panelists. I'm going to start with Ada Bello. She is a policy analyst with the Canada Revenue Agency. She has a really diverse background in various roles, and she is extremely passionate about networking and career ownership. Terry Audla is currently on secondment with the Canada School of Public Service as a special advisor. And you can see from his bio that he brings an extensive experience in Inuit land claims and economic development. And Justine Reynolds is a senior advisor with the Federal Youth Network with 11 years of public service experience, and she co-leads the interdepartmental monitoring here. I'm going to turn it over to Ada to get started, but don't forget to add us all on LinkedIn.
Thank you so much, Callie. Hello, everyone. I'm joining you today from Victoria, BC, the traditional lands of the Wasanich people who have lived on this land for time immemorial. I am a tan-skinned woman with black hair, brown eyes, and I am wearing a black shirt and a black blazer. I'm really honored to be here with my fellow panelists and to be speaking about my key takeaways on 2 topics that mean a lot to me. Values and ethics, especially how they relate to our professional lives, and career advancement in the regions. So with values and ethics, navigating values and ethics in our professional life, the session really dug in deep into the importance of ethical behavior and adhering to the values and ethics code to guide public service actions and decisions. The values and ethics in the public service, just for a reminder, are respect for democracy and for people, integrity, stewardship, and excellence. I really appreciated how the speakers demonstrated how to use this framework of the public service values and ethics and decision making through both general examples as well as through their personal stories. The speakers talked about the need for public servants to maintain integrity and non-partisanship, to provide unbiased advice, to ensure actions are not influenced by partisan considerations. And a statement that I've heard before, but continues to resonate, is fearless advice and loyal implementation. As public servants, we implement the mandates of our democratically elected officials. And in this way, we respect democracy. I also really appreciated the emphasis that as public servants, we are called to act with integrity. There's a call to make sound decisions and actions and to understand that how even as individuals, we're part of this greater organization in the public service. Maintaining impartiality and professionalism on social media was also discussed, and how it was important to be mindful of the impact of online behavior on public perception. So this was really important, and this is especially important in our age of digital connectedness, and where posts are never really lost. And it ties into the importance, again, of using that good judgment. And finally, the panelists explored managing potential conflicts of interest and maintaining integrity and impartiality in both personal and professional contexts. It was really interesting for me to hear about the importance of self-awareness, as well as the examples of in how to apply the values and ethics frameworks to different situations. Now, regional career stories, career success. This was just the last session that just happened. I thought it was really, really interesting. As someone whose whole career in the public service has been while located in Victoria, BC, this session really resonated with me. So this workshop emphasized the importance of self-advocacy for regional employees to overcome geographical challenges and achieve career success. So self-advocacy isn't just putting your hand up to participate in different opportunities. It's also about having a career plan and looking at the jobs you want to have and looking at the required skills and experiences and finding ways to develop those gaps. Whether it's through work on networks or volunteering or different committees. They also talked about the benefits of micro missions as a way to expand your network, work on different files and projects, and build your toolbox to help prepare for your future roles. Our speakers highlighted the role of personal branding and networking in regional career development with tips on building impactful careers. And some things that someone told me once years ago, which has stuck with me to this very day, is that every interaction builds your brand. And it takes years to build your brand and seconds to destroy it. To me, this also ties into the values and ethics session. If you act with integrity, show up for others, be that person that people can trust, your personal brand will follow. Regarding networking, if you're part of a network like the Federal Youth Network or young professional networks across the country, and you put in the time and contribute, that is you gaining skills, exposure, experience, and hopefully making some really good friends. But one thing I also want to emphasize is that you can't run an event, speak in a session, and think your career will suddenly change. Sometimes you're just planting the seeds for future opportunity. The important thing is to keep growing your skills and nurturing your network. I also love the piece on saying yes and the say yes mentality. They talked about the importance of understanding roadblocks, being adaptable, and embracing new opportunities to open doors and explore diverse experiences. They also talked about the importance of feedback and adaptability. And from a personal perspective, the information and feedback that I've received from processes that I was not successful in have been invaluable. A major piece that I got from this session was that preparation was important, that it was important to do the upfront work, embrace different opportunities, to grow your skills, so that you're better prepared to take on new challenges as they come up. Thanks, Callie.
Thank you. We're going to move to the next panelist to talk about the next takeaways.
Thanks, Callie. And I'm Terry Odla. And first, I'd like to acknowledge where I'm currently residing in the Whitewater region. I'd like to acknowledge that I'm located on the traditional and unceded territories of the Algonquin and Anishinaabe people. I would like to thank the Algonquin people and express my respect and support for their rich history. And I'm extremely grateful for their many and continued displays of friendship. I also thank Algonquins and Anishinaabe for having taken care of this land and its waters for thousands of years. Miigwech Nakulni. So I'll be speaking on understanding global work cultures and unlock your potential, connecting passion and skills with career development. Um, I've had the awesome privilege of working with Inuit at a circumpolar level, where we've found ourselves having to defend our way of life, the seal hunting, as well as the polar bear hunt in Canada. And we've had to defend those rights in forums where, for us, at for us in Canada, uh, having to go to the EU, Belgium, or to Bangkok, the United Kingdom, Switzerland, Russia, and to try and explain to those people across the globe why it is so important for us Inuit here in Canada to actually continue with our way of lives. And the way we did that was first understanding the global views of Canada and Inuit and why it is that they are sort of going down that path. You know that saying of keep your friends close and your enemies closer. Um, well, in our situation, we had to understand and embrace that adversity. We had to really look into why is it that they are going down the route that they are. The clear example would be defending the polar bear hunt in Canada, where not a lot of people knew that the population in Canada since the 70s of the polar bear have tripled. And this was a US proposal that was backed by the UK and Russia at the time, and it was during the Obama administration. And we found ourselves in Bangkok, Thailand, at the Convention on International Trade of Endangered Species, which relies heavily on science and data to make the decisions that they do. And we felt that here in Canada, that the polar bear is probably one of the best managed species on the planet. And we understood that for the US with the during the Obama administration that they were in need of some headway on the climate change discussions. We understood that, and we also understood from our previous experience with the European Union that um, that they had to make their decisions based on consensus. So we took that and we used it to our advantage based on sort the seal hunt and the seal trade in Canada, and understanding that the people from say Scotland use the sealskin products for their sporran for their kilt, and we sort of took that to our direction as to how we wanted to get them on our side and uh, get to the point where the EU basically had no longer a consensus and had to abstain from the vote. So we managed to successfully defeat the US proposal. And it was a crowning moment in my career with the support I had from the knowledge holders and the people at the Convention of International Trade of Endangered Species. They understood that this was a matter of integrity to their decision making using scientific and data points that were important in making the right decision. Um, in the aspect of connecting passion and skills with career development, early on I found um, that I had the awesome privilege of working with Inuit in the ratification and implementation of the Nunavut Land Claims Agreement, which was uh, one of the largest land claims in modern day Canada. And it was the first modern treaty to create a new territory, change the map of Canada, and create a public government. Um, in my early on in my career, I was hired on as a land administrator, and it was kind of an interesting exercise in setting up the land management regime to a group of individuals that I reported to directly that did not understand the concept of land ownership and sort of all the technical aspects related to land administration, land management, as well as having that amazing privilege of working with people that had actually negotiated that modern treaty at the time. So I went from cover to cover the Nunavut Land Claims Agreement. I went into it like in depth, like dove head first and just immersed myself in understanding all the legalese that were within that agreement and having that amazing privilege of speaking with negotiators of that agreement and asking them specifically, why did you word this clause or that clause the way you did? What was the intent? What was the spirit and intent of why you made that specific wording the way you did within that land claim agreement? And as time went by, I became more or less a subject matter expert of the Nunavut Land Claims Agreement. I found myself in a room full of lawyers that represented the Crown, the territorial government, the municipal government, and was able to defend our position with respect to why was it that this clause should be implemented the way it's intended to. And it's something that stuck with me, and it's something that I share with others, is that if you find something that you're working on, become that expert, become that subject matter expert, become that person that people can rely on for the information that is needed to carry out the actionable steps, and then it will work towards um, being identified as an individual that has the passion and the strength, and you'll be recognized for it. And it's something that I can't emphasize enough is go ahead first, dive in, and get to know what it is that you're working on, understand it inside and out. We have the awesome privilege of the federal public service with an amazing amount of resources, and to be able to use that. So I wish you all well in going down that journey and that path, and I look forward to your questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Terry. I'm going to turn to Justine for the last slide, and then we're going to move into Q&A. So keep putting your questions in the Q&A function for us, please.
Awesome. Thanks, Callie and Terry. That was really inspiring. I love to see how all of the topics are very interconnected. So all of the themes emerging out of CBC, it's very interconnected at B&E, LinkedIn, your passion. So just reflecting on that, and it's really awesome. So I'm just going to briefly speak about the LinkedIn workshops that took place and mastering difficult conversations. So for the LinkedIn workshop specifically, it was very much a focus on the importance of building a digital persona and how it can enhance professional visibility and opportunities, whether formal or informal. The session covered significance of maintaining a cohesive online presence, leveraging LinkedIn for networking and potential job opportunities, as well as aligning your personal persona with career goals and personal values. it was really neat to see how LinkedIn, networking, mentorship, V&E were all merging themes in many of the sessions. So very neat to see. LinkedIn has come up time and time again. So hopefully you all have your LinkedIn profiles and follow us and really take that into your hands in the next year throughout 2025 and figure out how you can leverage it for opportunities and connecting. So just some quick tips that were mentioned during the LinkedIn session I'd like to share with you. So keep these in mind when you're working on your LinkedIn page and when you're sharing posts and networking and communicating with colleagues and friends. So networking and visibility. LinkedIn provides a platform to expand your network beyond your immediate professional circle, right? So sometimes we get stuck in silos. LinkedIn is a great way to expand your network, collaborate with colleagues across regions, and so on and so forth. When it comes to seeking out a mentor on LinkedIn, make sure to be deliberate in your message. This was a common tip that came up. Be clear on what you're seeking advice on, or have a purpose for your message instead of just saying, hi, doing the wave hand emoji or something like that. Have a deliberate message if you can. There's a really popular and successful LinkedIn page that I wanted to highlight. A good colleague of ours on the Fin team has established the page. So I'll make sure to share that in the link. It's a page posting regular job opportunities on LinkedIn. So just wanted to give that a shout out. Another tip that was shared was credibility and expertise. So sharing skills and knowledge on LinkedIn helps establish yourself as a trusted professional in your field. Personal branding is also important. So Ada touched on this as well. A cohesive digital persona that reflects personal values and career goals can attract meaningful work opportunities. So if potential hiring managers are seeing that you're volunteering for certain initiatives, you're taking the time out of your day to help others, any accomplishments that make you feel proud, make sure to post those on LinkedIn because it could attract hiring managers or spark something in someone if they're looking for someone for a new opportunity. Two more quick tips on LinkedIn. So professional use of LinkedIn. Remember that this is a professional platform. Facebook and Instagram are different, Snapchat, whatever, what have you. But LinkedIn is created for professional purposes. So just keep that in mind when you're posting things. Try to remain professional as much as possible. Ethical considerations also important. So coming back to V&E again, be mindful and ensure that posts align with values and ethics code. Maintaining neutrality and being cautious about sharing sensitive information or oversharing of information is important. Another thing that stood out particularly in terms of the feedback from participants for the LinkedIn session was they really wanted to know, how can I make myself look the best? Like, what do I need to do for my online presence? So speakers were able to share good tips on using professional headshots, having a compelling headline. So literally the headline that shows up when you go onto your page. Make it fun, have some interesting facts in there. It goes a long way. And then engaging with content that aligns with your professional interests, building strategic connections, reaching out with a thoughtful, tailored message, like I just mentioned, and posting career milestones thoughtfully. Something that we try and do on the Fin team is positive toxicity is what our the chair of the National Federal Youth Network says. And it's posting good things about your colleagues or posting like kudos, kind of like similar to a kudo board, but on LinkedIn. So highlight those successes and make sure to highlight those of your colleagues as well. LinkedIn can be used for job opportunities. This was something else that was a surprise to some of the participants in the session. New folks joining government don't necessarily know this. I didn't know this much time ago, but LinkedIn can be a source for finding job opportunities. Of course, it depends on what type of job opportunities those are. So it would typically be for informal job opportunities like secondments, assignments, micro missions, that type of thing. A formal job opportunity wouldn't be found on there, but great connections can be made and you could potentially find a new opportunity on LinkedIn. Last thing I'd like to share is that there's so many positive influencers on LinkedIn. I'm following a ton of great people, GC superstars, GC influencers. So find some people that you really look up to. It doesn't have to be a senior leader. It can just be someone who's making a difference or inspiring you. Follow them and take some tips from them. Get yourself out there and don't be afraid to network. I encourage you to use LinkedIn to your advantage. Moving on to difficult conversations. I realize we're eating up our Q&A time, so I'll try and speed through this. But mastering difficult conversations is another very important topic. A lot of us have dealt with this in previous experiences, maybe difficult managers, difficult employees, and a lot of us will continue to deal with this into our career. So it's best to be prepared as much as possible when we have to have uncomfortable and difficult conversations. Mastering difficult conversations, the workshops that took place last week focused on navigating tough conversations solely in the workplace, particularly those related to career growth, conflict resolution, and effective communication. Something that I took away from these sessions and from my personal experiences is that it's important to have regular, recurring, and open conversations throughout the year and sharing feedback throughout the year, whether it's upwards or downwards feedback. And then that way, when it comes to time for PMAs, it's not such a daunting conversation, right? Having regular conversations, having a good relationship with your manager or with your employees throughout the year will really be beneficial for when it comes time to have, say, a difficult conversation or for PMA, and will enhance the workplace overall. Lots of great tips were shared in this session. I'd like to highlight a few of them. So effective communication, that's always important in anything that we do. So being clear, respectful when you're communicating will help with building trust and resolving issues. That's important to keep in mind. Use techniques for preparing and practicing difficult conversations to reduce anxiety. So deep breathing if you need to take a step away for a moment or say, can we continue this conversation later? Listening to music, I like that one. That one always helps me. When it comes to conflict resolution, approaches were shared by the speakers to help participants with resolving conflicts with colleagues, including setting clear expectations and maintaining open communication. Self-compassion and emotional intelligence, also very important. Practicing self-kindness, recognizing common humanity, and maintaining mindfulness. Tips were also shared on building self-efficacy through achievable goals, mastering through practice, and positive self-talk. So much to take in here. One final tip that was shared is on career growth and feedback. So tips were shared for discussing career growth and promotions with managers, including preparing a list of achievements and aligning goals with organizational objectives. Handling tough feedback by viewing it as an opportunity for growth and seeking clarification when needed is important. These sessions really emphasized self-compassion and emotional intelligence. Practicing self-kindness, recognizing common humanity, they're all important in having real human conversations, right? We're all human. We all have lots of emotions when it comes to things that matter to us. So try and be respectful and gentle when having these conversations. Be willing to take deep breaths, willing to listen. That's very important. Some of us need to learn that more than others. It's important to be able to listen just as much as you share your message, and we can all learn from each other through the process. So that's it for LinkedIn and difficult conversations. I would take this opportunity now to just briefly move on to the next slide, and we'll discuss some next steps, what you can do next in your career, and then I'll pass it back to Callie to get us into the Q&A. So lots of great programming coming up. We're listening to your needs as much as possible and what you're asking for. So just wanted to take a moment to share some opportunities that are coming up. So in-person learning days are happening in over 25 cities. So please take a look at the link that'll be shared in the chat and in the post-event email. Check out when the FIN team will be coming to you, and if you can get involved in that. It's very similar to Career Bootcamp, but tailored to in-person learning and hot topics of the day. So lots to discuss. Hopefully we're coming to somewhere near you, and I'm sure that we are. In addition to the in-person learning days, this year we're adding a neat twist, which is a future leaders, emerging leaders program. So in addition to the regular learning day, there'll also be an added component where you can reflect on whether management might be something you're considering. I'm really excited for this session. It'll be helpful for me and some of my colleagues, and hopefully helpful for you. So really thinking about, like, what are the things that we need to know when thinking about taking on a management position. We also have a variety of virtual learning sessions coming up on learning plans, PMA, all that good stuff. And then a career showcase taking place in the summer in July and August. This is the first time we're doing this type of career showcase focus. So really, really excited about that. So please check out our upcoming programming. I should also mention one last piece, which is in March, we're having a session. Again, like we're trying to listen to what everyone is asking for. And we really hope that this will be helpful. It's navigating career transition. So as Callie mentioned in the beginning, a lot of us are dealing with uncertain times right now. So we're hoping to address some of those common concerns and questions in our session in March. So not to take up any more time, I will pass it back to you, Callie, to get us rolling. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Justine. A few people have mentioned in the question and answer that they're having trouble finding the LinkedIn group for the job posting, but it has been answered in the Q&A. If you go into the answered section of that, you'll be able to see the actual name of it. So we're going to do one quick question that I have. So keep asking your questions in the Q&A and upvoting the ones that you would like us to ask. And while that's happening, I'm going to turn to Ada and ask, how can participants continue to leverage the resources and skills gained during Career Bootcamp 2025 to maintain their career momentum throughout the year?
It's a really good question, Callie. How can participants leverage the resources and skills that they gain through the Career Bootcamp? I recommend that when you have time to go to the Career Bootcamp GC Collab page and go through the different slides and resources there. There are some amazing nuggets within those resources. And, these sessions happen so fast. It's over just a quick 2-week period. And sometimes it's hard to really absorb the information that we're receiving within that space. So when you have time, taking that time to go through it and really seeing what applies to you, I think would be really helpful. Thinking about your skills, passions, and values, about what energizes you and your well-being, and really practice that self-awareness. And also being aware of our current environment, as well as what's happening on a larger scale, and look to yourself to see how you can also build those skills of the future.
Thank you. So I'm going to turn to the chat really quickly. The top question is an unanswered question from a previous session, and it is: the return to office directive has seriously limited the number of job opportunities available in the regions due to the lack of office space. Acknowledging the value of regional representation, how do we advocate for flexibility in work locations? I'm going to turn to Terry for that one, because I know he's worked in a region as an RDG, a Regional Director General in Nunavut.
Thanks, Callie. And yeah, it's a tough one in the sense, especially for my substantive position right now as Regional Director General in Nunavut. Working from home was not really an option in the sense that connectivity was an issue. Home life was not conducive, considering the overcrowding rates in the territory that I happen to reside. But here I am on a telework agreement, working with the Canada School of Public Service on a 3-year secondment, and it's mostly based on the fact that I live a considerable distance away from the National Capital Region. So it's a privilege for me to be able to work in this environment. Every so often, I do brave the long drive into the National Capital Region, but it's different circumstances for different areas, and at the same time, the productivity aspects of things is something that we should keep in mind as well when it comes to the work from home aspects, and how prior to the pandemic, everyone was working 9 to 5 or 8:30 to 5 on 5 days a week in the office. And that's not that long ago. And sort of the transitioning back and forth is something that we'll have to be looking at each and every time, and depending on the different governments that come our way, and how the public feels in general about having people back to the workplace. That's something that I think we as public servants need to look at and have adequate responses to. But again, it's all dependent on the geographical realities of where we happen to find ourselves.
Thank you, Terry. Anybody else have any input?
I'll go into. Oh,
Yeah, I was going to say, Ada, I know you have some experience working in Victoria, which is a semi-regional office, I would assume.
super regional, right on the west there of the country. Yeah. Yeah, so I'm just thinking about the last session where they were talking about career success stories in the regions and how it applies to me as well. And really, where possible, taking ownership of your career. So started with the agency in 2011, worked as a frontline officer, um, collections and then audit, and then supporting staff as a regional training coordinator before getting a job reporting virtually to HQ in 2019. So before the pandemic and whatnot. And I would say that it was really like building the skills along the way. Like I mentioned before, finding those jobs that you're really interested in, looking at what experiences are needed, and putting in that time and work and effort to make sure that you're ready when and if those opportunities come or when they come, and also um, growing that network where possible, and understanding that it's not going to be just like that. It takes time, but it's also super worthwhile because you're doing good work at the same time.
Thank you. The next upvoted question is, do you have any networking advice for people who are not extroverts or have social anxiety or are similarly neurodivergent? Justine, you want to take a stab at that?
Yeah, I can. I'm pretty extroverted in some senses, so I don't necessarily have lived experience, although sometimes I do get uncomfortable. I think I'm different in different situations, so I can relate to some degree. But there's a very good network for neurodivergent employees. It's called the Infinity Network. I'll have one of the Fin colleagues share the resources in the chat. But first of all, wanted to highlight that there is a network there to support you and to support neurodivergent employees. They do a lot of great work. They're a close partner of ours. Just reflecting quickly, like on some tips, something that could be beneficial was doing sort of group mentorship or group networking. If you're more comfortable in a group setting and having others ask questions that you can benefit from. We offer regular speed mentoring sessions throughout the years. I can share more information on that. And there's also a really strong mentorship program led by D&D, but it's open for all government employees. It's called the Lifting as You Lead Mentorship Circles. And that's in a group environment as well. There's master classes where they teach on a variety of topics, and then there's group discussions. So if that's something that is comfortable for you, I would consider that maybe group discussions. Also, for me, like finding a buddy that I get along with well and like bring them with you, or find a mentor or find someone you're networking with, find colleagues that make you feel comfortable. We don't need to be around people who are making us feel uncomfortable in any way. So find people to network with that make you feel comfortable. Some tips. If anyone has anything to add, please feel free.
Harry?
Yeah, I sort of had that same question. I asked it myself of a deputy or a president, and there's a lot of emphasis on networking. I'm somewhat of an introvert, believe it or not, and uh, his advice was if you find yourself in a situation where you are in a room full of people, you just need to power through it, and 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 just have that conversation and try and embrace that uh, adversity aspect of things. Find out why it is that people think the way they do or have their opinions about whatever topic, and you know do your own digging, ask questions, and then sort of give feedback if as and when required. But it's his advice of just powering through it and sort of keeping in the moment at the time.
I'm going to speak quickly to this as somebody who is neurodivergent, but also extremely extroverted. So, one of the greatest things that I think I was gifted from a very introverted boss that I had was that I have the opportunity to assist other employees in finding a path forward that suits them. It's not going to be the same path as me, it's not going to be the same path as her. But as somebody who has existed in the federal public service, with a neurodivergency, the ability to platform and advocate for and really be an ally for people, whether they reach out to me or I reach out to them, is really, really special. And it's something that we can all do, whether you're neurodivergent, introverted, social anxiety or not. You can always be somebody that is a safe place for somebody else to reach out to. You can be that buddy. You can be the person who perhaps sets up a quiet room, perhaps is looking for an opportunity to include people to participate so that they can then do what Terry said, which is power through the uncomfortable, but they don't have to do it alone. Next question that is top voted in our Q&A. Wow, there's a lot coming in. What suggestion do you have for employees who have limited post-secondary education, but have the drive and dedication to move up in the federal government? So Ada, I'm going to reach out to you again because you have a very extensive career.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so no post-secondary education, but you're still interested in moving forward. I would go back to what I had said before as well. You know, looking if you have a dream job or if you have a job that's really interesting to you, what are the skills, education, and experiences that you need? Identifying those pieces and work on it. So, for example, I was a collections contact officer and, brick and mortar office. And for myself, I was looking at expanding my career opportunities and what was available to me. And I saw within our space, which at the time, my understanding was the only opportunities within our space was within the building, was within the audit space. And so I took extra courses so that I could qualify and move on to the audit side. And I did it on my own time. For the first classes, I was, paying for it on my own and whatnot. And, it was extra work, but for myself, it was really worth it. I really wanted to be able to see the way forward, and for myself and the options there, that was the path that I saw.
Wonderful. And Terry or Justine, do you have any comments on this one?
Yeah, I can add to that. Considering coming from the Nunavut territory, the unfortunate aspects of the graduation rates and the sort of the Nunavut land claim obligations that we have with respect to hiring individuals so that we have a representative workforce. And so we looked at all methodologies that were available at the federal level. And this is one thing I mentioned earlier in my talk was on being a small fish in a big pond. We have so much resources available to us and the training opportunities that we have. And if you find that either your lack of post-secondary credentials or what have you, the federal government can accommodate for that in the sense of advancing your knowledge and your career in the sense of providing the resources and the training that's out there. And being with the Canada School of Public Service right now, I just feel this awesome privilege of being able to assist in that way in some form.
Thank you, Terry. Okay, next question. What skills or competencies do you see as critical for career advancement in the public sector in the coming years? And how can participants begin to develop those now? I'm going to jump in and say change management. Learn how to adapt to change because it's coming, whether you want it or not, all the time. That is the one thing that is constant in the federal public service. That something's going to change. So Justine, I'll let you answer this one for us.
Great response. Love that. It's definitely very important. I'd say learning how to use technology to your full capacity. AI, use it to your advantage. There's so many great things we can use it for. So figuring that out, I think, will be essential. So figuring out like efficiencies, making things improved for your team. You always want to impress your manager by, I can make this better. This is great how you've done it. Let's work on making it better. And we have so much technology at our fingertips that can really help us with that. Our team has been using it recently for certain things, and I'm blown away at how much faster and efficient it can improve systems and processes. So change management, AI, something that came up in one of the other the sessions this past week, I can't recall which one exactly, but someone gave great advice to figure out the mandate of your department and the future priority. So reading SUPS A, SUPS B, main estimates, figure out where the money is going, right? Like where our finances are going in the coming year. And that will say where the jobs are, and then figuring out sort of what you need to get there. So very, very high level, but knowing the context, knowing the environment, where we fit in the bigger government picture will help figure out what you need to get to a certain department or certain area that you want to get to. So it goes back to, again, what Ada was saying, like figure out where you want to go and then what you need to get there. So the skills and competencies could be quite different depending on what field of work you want to go in. I think I'll stop there for now.
Ada, Terry, you want to jump in at all?
Yeah, absolutely. Just to add to that, so change management, AI, understanding the mandates and whatnot, and also like the soft skills, emotional intelligence, understanding yourself, self-awareness, and really being able to connect with people as we move towards digital transformation and whatnot. Just being able to connect to that human aspect, I think, is going to be so important as well.
And briefly, I'll add that you will stumble as you go along in your career, and you need to be resilient in the sense that you learn from those and you move on. And I can't emphasize enough what Justine suggested, that you keep up on the technology, the AI, learn what you can and find out exactly what your department's mandate is, and see what advantage that this new technology can create for you, and at the same time become the subject matter expert.
Excellent advice from everyone. This is the next up voted one. I don't have any experience on this, but in your experience, how does the federal government differ from the provincial government or territorial government in terms of roles, opportunities for career growth, and organizational culture? Terry, I think you've worked for territorial government and federal government, so I'll let you start.
Yeah, I was lucky enough to be tapped to become the new regional director general for Nunavut. And I found that to be an amazing privilege. Prior to that, I was at the territorial level, deputy head, president CEO for the Nunavut Housing Corporation for 6 years. And then the opportunity for working at the federal level, I became a small fish in a big pond. But that whole aspect of being in a big pond was very appealing to me, in the sense that I was able to access all the resources that I needed to advance myself in my career and to advance those around you, to the point where the job that you are doing is just that much better in the sense of what needs to happen, and you're able to provide those same resources to those around you. So you become a great team overall, and it's just an amazing opportunity. I mean, I'm now seconded to the Canada School of Public Service. I'm now facilitating and teaching on Indigenous and executive learning, and I just feel just an amazing, how would you say, privilege of being able to share that with others and help others grow and advance as they go along in their careers. The territorial level aspect of it is there are limited resources as compared to or relative to the federal public service. Security is less so compared to the federal public service. And at the same time, just the amazing amount of resources, the difference in what you have at hand compared to, say, the territorial or provincial level, and vice versa when it comes to NGOs and non-government organizations as well.
Excellent answer. Justine, Ada, anything to add? All right, we got time for one more question. What advice would you give to participants who are seeking mentorship or guidance to help them stay accountable for their career development through 2025? Liam, anybody? Gonna pick somebody? Justine, I'm picking
Sure.
you.
Perfect. I can talk about mentorship all day. I know this isn't directly related to where you can find mentorship resources, but I would like to share that. I'm the co-chair for the Interdepartmental Mentorship Community of Practice with my colleague Emily Smith at DFO, and we bring people together who are working on mentorship programs across departments, networks, or communities. So if you're looking for a specific mentorship opportunity, we can hopefully guide you in the right direction. Or if you're looking to develop a mentorship program, we can help you out with that too. But all to say is there's a ton of good resources on our wiki page. So I'll have the Fin team post that in the chat. Check out some resources that are available to you for finding a mentor to help you with your mentor relationship and so on. So first off would be finding a mentor. There's a few options of doing that, more informal versus informal, depending on what suits your needs. And then having them keep you accountable throughout the year. So regular check-ins is what's going to help you stay accountable. That way, if you have a set milestone, you're going to come prepared to that meeting with, okay, this is what I did in the last few weeks, and this is what I'm looking to do in the coming weeks. So having those regular touch basing on your milestones will be really helpful to get you to where you want to go. And coming up with a plan at the beginning of the year, your learning plan, will be super, super helpful in figuring out what you want to do and then make those achievable goals and check in with your mentor or a colleague or your manager if you don't have a mentor throughout the year.
Awesome. Thank you, Justine. Terry or Ada, anything to add to that one?
Sure, maybe just a quick note. When you're working with a mentor, I would suggest that really you have a goal in terms of like what are you trying to achieve with them, and what are you working towards, and just being prepared for each meeting. They're taking some time to meet with you, and so really respecting that time and that relationship as well.
Yes, I 100% agree. And I would also add to be flexible in your learning plan and your goals when it comes to where you want to go. Things change, as I said. And it's also really great when something shows up that you suddenly didn't realize you were interested in and you just want to jump on the opportunity. Allow yourself that grace to say, I'm going to put something aside and I'm really going to embrace this thing that's really sparked something in me. Because I think that allows us to move within our own passions. On that note, we're going to wrap up. So I just want to thank everyone. I want to thank the panelists for your insights. I want to thank everybody who's participated for their questions. They've all been really wonderful. I get to see all of them come in. And I want to remind you that there are those in-person learning sessions. All of this will be sent to in a follow-up email as well, all the links. And you can sign up through the distribution list. There's the YouTube channel. Check us out on the podcast. And I want to thank everyone who's participated in Career Bootcamp 2025. It's been extremely successful. I've heard nothing but rave reviews for everything. So let's continue to reflect, learn, and move forward in our careers. Masi Cho, panelists, you have any closing remarks you'd like to say?
Just thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. We're in this together. We got you. So we're here for you if you need help. Best of luck.